Hi, friends. I'm kind of wanting to do things a new way today. I'm kind of whispering, like, let's do this together like a joke, kind of like a plan that we both know about, but that is unusual. And we're going to pretend that it's a surprise. So at preschool, when children have been doing their alphabet projects, lately we're seeing if they can do it without any teacher help. So they only look at the finished project and then they do it when they want to. And guess what? It's working. They can do it. So that's what I'm going to do today is I'm just going to be here doing my alphabet project, but not talking at all. I'm just going to do it. And you can do it at the same time or just watch me and do it sometime on your own, all by yourself. Just look at it and watch me if you want, and then do it on your own. So that's why I'm about to get quiet and I'm about to just maybe hum because I'm happy and content. And so sometimes I do that if I'm just having a good time with myself doing a project and I'm not trying to interact with anyone. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop talking all the way. I'm going to stop whispering and I'm going to just do my project by myself, and you can do that too. Okay. Now I'm going to pretend that I'm seeing you for the first time. Hi, friends. Welcome to Circle Time. We were already here, weren't we? We already started. And if you ever looked up, you saw me making this. You saw me making this W to look like something. It's not a snake. I'm pretending it's a worm. I'm pretending this is a worm. This W is all brown, supposed to look like a worm. That's why I put this round piece on the end, because that's supposed to be the head. So then it's the head is there, and then this is the body curving round and round. It's a worm. And for real, when I was 4 years old, probably when I was 3, maybe even when I was 2, and then the rest of my life, I always liked worms. My mom told me that when I was little, she looked at me after working in the garden one day, and she said, "Kristen, what is in your pockets?" And I had put worms in my pockets. Not because I wanted to hurt them, not because I wanted to take them somewhere to throw away, because I loved them and I wanted to keep them. Do you know where I would have had to find the worms? I was in the garden, and if I had to find them, if I looked at the garden and there wasn't any worms I could see, I had to look somewhere in the garden. I had to like dig in the dirt, which I liked and I still do like, dig in the dirt and I could find the worms in there. And I remember this. I remember I never like saw the end of a worm and pulled it because that could like hurt the body, right? I would gently dig around until I could see the whole worm body and then I would scoop it up and put it in my pocket. That was not actually a great habitat for the worms. My pockets didn't give the worms what they needed. Like they needed the dirt, they needed the air, they needed the water, they needed a different life to live, not in my pocket. So they did not stay in my pocket. But I loved worms and I wanted to take care of them. Let me find my journal. Journal. I wrote the word worm already. But I also wrote 2 other W words. The letter of the week is W. Now, one of these says worm, but the others don't say worm. The shortest word says worm, and it ends with M. Worm. Oh, that's not M. That's not M. That is M, and it's the shortest word. That does say worm. Worm. That's the one we're talking about. These look almost the same. WWAA. At the end, they both have RR. They have EE. They have TT. This one has another line in the middle. That line is supposed to be the L, lowercase l. This says Walter. I have a friend named Walter. It's his golden letter day. W is for Walter, or you can take off the ER because he can also be called W is for Walt. At preschool, he likes to be called Walter. W is for Walter. W is for Walter. The letter of the week is W. Now this one that doesn't say Walter with the L, take the L out and it only says water. Water. Water is so helpful. It would have been helpful for the worms to survive and to be able to aerate that dirt some more when the water would go down from the rain or from the hose and it would go on the dirt. Then that can sometimes make it easier for the worm to wiggle down there. I've got a message on a paper and it's telling me something about water. Put on my glasses so I can really read this, these small letters. Okay, here is the message about water. Wet a brush with water, swish into a color and paint. Be sure to rinse your brush between colors. These are paint pieces. Like it's dry, I don't have the water yet. But wet a brush with water, swish into a color and paint. Be sure to rinse your brush between colors. So that means that I would take my brush. So I'd have a little jar of water, a little cup of water. I would take my brush, wet a brush with water. Wet the brush first, swish into a color. Ooh, I'm going to start with yellow. I love yellow. I would still wet a brush with water. Okay, dip it in. Swish into a color, okay? And paint. Then I could paint any of these things yellow that I wanted to. Oh my goodness. I just saw a worm on here. Do you see the worm anywhere on this paper? It's not in the dirt. It's not even under anything. It's on top of something. My finger will show you. Doo-doo-doo. There's a little worm. There's a little worm. And then if I was really doing it and I painted things yellow, be sure to rinse your brush between colors. Okay, that means if I want more yellow, fine. I don't have to rinse. I'll just go get more yellow and paint. But when I want a new color, like maybe some red, then I'm going to rinse my brush, dance it on the bottom of the cup, dance, 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 dip it into the red, swish, 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 paint, 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 paint. Then, if I want a new color, rinse your brush, dance it on the bottom, dance, 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 get a new color. So this is a worm page and a water page. Maybe it's a Walter page if he also likes this or likes something about it. But this is also about something else. This is about a holiday, a tradition some families have. It's not about Weester or Weester wegs. They're not W things. This is about Easter and Easter eggs. Let me show you in my journal what I decided. That today there are some things that are about W, like Walter, water, worm. But then there are some things today that are about Easter and April. Look, there is no W on here. There's no W. This says April. This is a pretend calendar. This says Easter. And there's a tiny little circle that I was making an Easter egg. Do you notice something behind me? There's the big rainbow, of course, mixed up rainbow. Do you notice some other things behind me? I put them there before I started circle time. Do you see there? And over my head, and on the other side of my head, and on the other side of me. Those are pretend Easter eggs. But they also are kind of about W. Because do you see the down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up that I made all over these? Look, I made down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up. I mean, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. This one goes up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up. That's how you make the letter W. To make the letter W, look, this right here, that's W. Down, up, W. All of these Easter eggs I made using the W shape. Sometimes when you see these little W shapes on an egg, that might mean it's cracking. I made it to look more like decoration. But there's another book I have, and it's about a little chick. And at the end of the book, little chick, you'll see these W shapes, and it's about cracking. Not like dangerous, like you broke the egg and it cracked, but from nature. Little chick, so this is the little brother. Little chick is really being careful with these eggs. And at the end, this happens. Look at these cracked W shapes. The down, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. That's from cracking out. Not because he dropped them, not because he squished them, not because he stomped on them, just from nature. These chicks were really in those eggs, and they really hatched on their own. I'll show you more of this later. But I first want to show you our book for today that I'm going to sing the whole thing of. The book for today is not about a worm, but it's about another creature. In our journals, we also have this. And this worm I could color any way I wanted. If I wanted to match nature, I would probably just use one color, and I would just make it brown. Beautiful brown, kind of like this is one of my favorite eggs I made, a beautiful brown. If I wanted to get kind of imaginative or make-believe about it, look what I could do. I could do it like I did our unicorn and make it rainbow. You could make your worm drawing any way you want. When you are the artist, you can do it any way you want. This worm could have stripes. This worm could have polka dots. This worm could be one color. This worm could be lots of colors. This worm could be a pattern. Like if you had two favorite colors, like brown, green, I could go a little bit of brown, green, 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 brown, green. Or that's called an A-B pattern when it goes back and forth. Watch this pattern. That is ABB. Watch. Brown, green, green. 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 Or trickier. 3 different colors. It's an ABC pattern. It's going to go over and over like this. I'll do brown, green, and pink. Brown, green, pink. Brown, green, pink. If you are listening and you like to say things along, say with me. Brown, green, pink. Brown, green, pink. Brown, green, pink. However you would want to paint your worm or color your worm, you could do. The creature our book is, again, is not a worm, but it's kind of like the worm I just talked about because it also lives on the ground. It can go underground, under the dirt. And in this book, this animal, this creature is also brown. And it's about taking care of little creatures. It's called Hey Little Ant. And when I was very first a teacher, so long ago, so long ago, almost as long ago as some of your moms and dads, I used to sing this book with all of the other kids who are now grown up. Hey Little Ant. And I'm excited to show it to you. Now, if you're already feeling like, I don't like ants, I hate ants, you might see that you're kind of like someone in this book. And this is the kid. He talks first. The kid talks first. I'm going to go on this side so I can see differently. The kid talks first, and he's talking to this ant way down here, and then the ant is going to talk. So the kid talks first, and he says, Hey, little ant, down in the crack, can you hear me? Can you talk back? See my shoe? Can you see that? Well, now it's going to squish you flat. Oh boy, you got a plan. But now the ant is going to talk. And the ant says, Please, oh please, do not squish me. Change your mind and let me be. I'm on my way with a crumb of pie. Please, oh please, don't make me die. Right? Because if that foot came down on a tiny little ant, that ant would not live anymore. That ant would die. Oh, it's the kid's turn. Look how big. Kid says, Anyone knows that ants can't feel? You're so tiny, you don't look real. I'm so big and you're so small. I don't think it will hurt at all. So the kid doesn't think, it doesn't matter. You can't feel anything. But now the ant says, But you are a giant and giants can't know how it feels to be an ant. Come down close. I think you'll see that you are a lot like me. An ant and a kid are alike? The kid says, Are you silly? Me like you. I have a home and a family too. You're just a speck that runs around. No one would care if my foot came down. So this is the human family. And the kid thinks the ant doesn't have a family like this. Nobody will even care. Look what the ant says. First page, the ant says, Oh, big friend, you are so wrong. My nest mates need me because I am strong. I dig out nest and feed baby ants too. I must not die beneath your shoe. So the ant is in charge of digging out their nest, and the ant also brings food for the baby ants. Let's see what Kid says about that. Kid says, But my mom says that ants are rude. They carry off our picnic food. They steal our chips and breadcrumbs too. It's good if I squish a crook like you. Crook, like another word for a robber. That's what the kid is saying. You're a robber that steals our food. And then he thought about him looking like that. Well, let's see what Ant says. Oh, Ant says, hey, I'm not a crook, kid. Read my lips. Sometimes ants need crumbs and chips. One little chip can feed my town. So please don't make your shoe come down. Ant says, we only need one little chip. You can have the rest. Kid says, but all my friends squish ants each day. Squishing ants is a game we play. They're looking at me. They're listening too. They all say I should squish you. Ooh, this is like peer pressure. The kid now has friends who are like, do it, do it, do it. Stomp the ant, stomp the ant. Who cares? Do it, do it, do it. Oh, look at this imaginary page. Ant says, I can see you're big and strong. Decide for yourself what's right and wrong. If you were me and I were you, what would you want me to do? Okay, that means, all right, put yourself in the other person's shoes. If this person was so little and the ant was so big, do you think that this kid would want the ant to smush him? I don't think so. That's what this story is saying. You put yourself in my shoes. What would you want? And friends, we're at the last page. Some people find this to be the disappointing page. It's just a question. The kid isn't talking anymore, and the ant isn't talking anymore. The question says, should the ant get squished? Should the ant go free? It's up to the kid, not up to me. We'll leave the kid with the raised up shoe. What do you think the kid should do? I'm not going to tell you what you should think either. That's the end of the book. This is the end. We never find out what happens. And I can't tell you what to do either in that. Because if you're outside, when all the times you get to go outside, especially if you go outside for Easter time, if your family has the tradition of an Easter egg hunt, you're going to be outside a lot. You might even get to see some worms. You might get to see some ants. What if you see other tiny creatures in nature? Tiny little rabbits? What if you see birds? How you treat them is up to you. Even if someone made a rule that says, nobody chase the rabbits, nobody hurt the ants, nobody hurt the worms, there's going to be times when you can do what you want because maybe no one sees you. So notice in yourself, how do you feel? What do you want to do in those moments? How do you want to be in nature with other creatures that are so small? What are you afraid of? Maybe you're afraid the ant will bite you. You could find out, is this an insect that bites? Is this a creature that is a danger to me? Find out those things. Maybe that's why you are afraid of them, if you're afraid of them. Maybe you'll get to do some Easter things at your house. Maybe you'll go somewhere and do Easter things. Maybe you'll come to preschool here and do Easter things. Maybe you'll go to some other school or daycare and do Easter things. Maybe you could look around like at a store if you ever go in there and you might see Easter things. Maybe you'll go to a church for Easter things. Whatever you do, I hope you have a wonderful time. I got this because W is the first letter of wonderful. Sweethearts, thank you for being here. I love you and goodbye.